Most Dokkan's banners throughout history have been pretty mid or bad, but some were good, very good, and others were exceptionally bad. That's what we'll be covering in today's video, the best and worst banners in Dokkan history. So let's not waste any time and start directly with what I think is the first goated banner Dokkan ever dropped. It was a filler banner featuring AGL Kaioken Goku, Tech Final Form Frieza, and Strength % Bardock. This banner had so much value at the time, since those three guys were each the best at something. AGL Kaioken Goku was the hardest hidden Superclass unit, while Tech Final Form Frieza was the hardest hidden Extreme Class unit, which was way more impactful back then than it is now, since damage was pretty much the only metric that actually mattered. And Strength % Bardock, even though he didn't hit as hard as the other two, still had the best leader skill in the game, and thanks to his support, he was a pretty versatile unit that could fit pretty much anywhere. Like, bro, trust. Japanese players were summoning like crazy on that banner. The 20 million download celebration banner has to be one of the greatest bait banners in this game's history. The banner was cracked for the time. It had 20 discounted multis and 20 discounted singles, triple SSR rates, and featured some of the best SSRs in the game, like Strengths % Goku, Ints % Gohan, Physicals % Vegeta, Agils % Sugoku, AGL Kaioken Goku, Physical Ultimate Gohan, or even Tech Whis. It might look like complete garbage nowadays, but this was before guaranteed SSRs per multi-summon. So trust, the banner baited many players at the time, especially Wells, with those insane 20 discounted multis. Like, this was just so crazy back then. The first year anniversary also came with two bait banners that were honestly pretty good for the time. There was a first year anniversary special summon banner, where you had one multi-summon with a guaranteed SSR. That banner featured pretty much every single SSR that wasn't at Dokkan Fest, so your chances of pulling something somewhat decent were pretty high, which at the time was big. There was also a banner that featured pretty much every Super Saiyan character that surpassed the Super Saiyan level in the game at the time, and you were guaranteed a new Super Saiyan character per multi-summon. Not an SSR per se, but I'm pretty sure there were more Super Saiyan SSRs than Super Saiyan SRs at the time, so you had more than a 50% chance of pulling an SSR per multi-summon, which was huge. Like, bro, you've got to understand that pulling an SSR at the time was a much bigger deal than it is today. So those two bait banners had just so much value and were definitely some of the best banners in this game's history. Then we had Strengths per Gogeta's banner. Brother, I think that even if the banner had just Strengths per Gogeta as the featured SSR with like 11 Cybermans, it would have still been one of the best banners in this game's history, just because of how cracked Strengths per Gogeta was. Bro was the best unit in the game and it wasn't even close. It's either you had him or you just didn't have an account. The moment his banner dropped, every other banner in the game was pretty much useless, unless you already had Super Gogeta. That alone makes it one of the most valuable banners in this game's history. But the banner also had some other decent units like AGL Golden Frieza, Dokkan Fest Physical Kid Buu, or Dokkan Fest Tech Cell. And when you add the fact that the banner was also the first one to introduce the Perform 3 multi-summons and get one free discount with one 30 stones discounted multi, yeah, the value was just insane beyond belief, and something never seen before. Pretty crazy though that within the same anniversary, we had the first Xenoverse collab banner, which considering its time of release, might just be one of the worst banners in this game's history. The new Xenoverse units weren't bad per se, but they weren't anything crazy. And just so you know, Gogeta's banner was still up when the Xenoverse banner dropped. Like, what was the point of even summoning on that banner when you could just summon on what was for sure the most valuable banner this game had seen up until that point? The timing on that banner was just terrible, but I guess at the same time they didn't really have a choice on JP since it was a banner to celebrate Xenoverse anniversary at the end of February. But I guess on global they could have delayed it or something, or at least added like a discounted multi or even like a guaranteed SSR multi-summon or something like that. So the banner didn't even have guaranteed SSRs. Dokkan was just brutal back then. Then exclusively on JP, they dropped the first ever Golden Week banner at the end of April 2016. This banner was just completely insane. It featured the best unit in the game, Strengths per Gogeta, his best linking partner, and arguably one of the greatest banner units of all time, Physicals % Gotenks, Dokkan Fest Strength Broly, who was still a must at the time for the World Tournament, and Dokkan Fest Physical Full Power Frieza, who was arguably a top 5 or honestly even top 3 Dokkan Fest TUR. And bro was just so cracked offensively that he was genuinely worth running on Gogeta's team. It's still so crazy to me that the first ever Golden Week banner was just a rerun of Strength Gogeta. Like, this guy was so good and so hyped that that they didn't even bother making a new unit. They just re-released Strength Gogeta and it was hype enough. And by the way, Global got that banner too, but slightly different. It was up for more than 77 hours, which was already a huge W by itself, but the featured units were also different. Actually, I think Global's banner had better featured units. It had Agel's per Century Goku instead of full power Frieza, and even though he wasn't as good as Frieza, he definitely linked better with Gogeta. Then Physicals percent Bardock was also a big deal. Like the guy was just Physicals percent Gotenks but with less damage and more utility, plus Physicals percent Gohan and Angels percent Gohan were still very decent support type units on Global, and the banner also had one discounted multi. So yeah, definitely one of the best banners in this game's history. Aegis per Vegito's banner has to be one of the craziest banners in Dokkan's history. Just like with Strength per Gogeta, Super Vegito was just so insane as a unit that even if he was the only decent featured unit on the banner would have still been valuable. Bro introduced one of, if not the craziest power creep jump in this game's history, with the new 70% to all stats leader skills and the new broken counter mechanic. Bro was one of the tankiest units in the game, while also being one of, if not the hardest hitting unit in the game, depending on the turn. The guy was just cracked beyond belief. But then his banner also featured another Dokkan Fest, who even though he was not as good, was still probably the second or third best UR in the game, and had an immense base value solely because of his new leader skill. If that wasn't crazy enough, the banner also featured Strength per Gogeta, who I'm pretty sure was still the best unit in the game before the arrival of Broly and Vegito. So the banner essentially had the 3 best units in the game all in one banner, with a 3 multi get 1 free discount. When was the last time something like that happened? This was just insane. It was genuinely a crazy banner. Physical Vegito Blues and Angel Rose's banners were so insane on release. They both had 77 hours of the 3 multi get 1 free discounts, and both featured almost every single Dokkan Fest unit that released that year. So you can only imagine how valuable those banners were. And Rose and Vegito Blue themselves were just insane. So their banners were just must summons. Aegis percent Bukkake Goku's banner on Global was genuinely one of the worst banners in Dokkan history, while on JP the banner marked the return of Aegis per Vegito. On Global the banner had Strength percent Vegeta, who wasn't bad per se, but leagues behind Super Vegito. It's not like the other featured units were anything crazy either. The only other Dokkan Fest was Aegis percent Goku, who was like 8 months old by that point. And if that wasn't enough of a middle finger for the Global players who were waiting for Aegis per Vegito's return, they initially didn't even bother editing Super Vegito out of the banner image. They literally just slapped Super Sentry Vegeta on top of him. Like they just didn't care at all. At least the Christmas banner on Global was crazy that year. Like Christmas banners in gacha games are always crazy, and Dokkan is no exception. Back in December 2016, they dropped one of the craziest banners in this game's history for Christmas, exclusively on Global. It only featured fusion units, including some of the best units in the game, like Aegis per Vegito, Strength per Gogeta, or Text per Century Gotenks, and it gave candy canes every multi-summon. Back in the day, candy canes were some of the best training items in the game, and extremely valuable, especially with the introduction of LRs, who required so much EXP to level up. This banner just had so much value. You have no idea, it was actually insane. Exclusively on JP, Dokkan dropped a special New Year's banner that was probably one of the best banners in this game's history. It featured some pretty big cards like Angel Rose, Aegis per Bukkake Goku, Text per Century Gotenks, Aegis per Vegito, or even Strength per Gogeta. But what made that banner insane is the fact that it had 3 guaranteed SSR multis. So your chances of pulling something good were so high, like you almost just couldn't get shafted. Considering the time, this was probably the craziest banner Dokkan had dropped up until that point. Guaranteed SSR multis on a banner with some of the best units in the game? Bro, this was just insane, and definitely one of the best banners in this game's history. It's no surprise that the 2nd year anniversary banners were absolutely cracked. But like every anniversary, there's always one banner that's just better than the other. And here it was Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's banner. I don't know what they were thinking at the time, but that banner was just insane. While Super Saiyan 4 Goku's banner featured Strength per Gogeta and Aegis per Vegito, 2 very good units, Vegeta's banner featured both Physical Vegito Blue and Angel Rose. Like, brother, what? Those 2 guys were like 2 months old, cracked and rainbow leaders. That alone was enough to make it one of the best banners to date. On Global, the banner were even crazier, as they gave tickets that you could then use on another banner that had the literal best unit in the game, LR in Super Saiyan Gohan, while at the same time giving you the Clash medals necessary to awaken him. You've got to understand, like, this was just Insane at the time, bro. Insane. As Dokkan Battlefield wasn't out yet on global, and even if it was, the game mode was very difficult, and its currency very scarce. It was just a completely different story on JP. LR Ints Senzu Gohan's initial banner was just so bad it was laughable. Not only were the featured units nothing crazy, as they were just regular banner units, but LR Gohan was actually on feature on the banner. On featured. Like... What were they even thinking doing that with no guaranteed SSR per multi-summon? Like, brother, those times were rough. Even with the double rates, you had a 0.08% chance of pulling LR Gohan every multi. So pretty much a 0.1% chance of pulling something good. Okay, something insanely good. But still, it was a 0.1% chance. Like, brother, this was so bad. But you can guess that nobody cared. LR's percent to Gohan was just too good. And I guess the dopamine hit of actually maybe pulling Gohan was more than enough for most players. This has to generally be the worst anniversary banner in gacha game history. LR Strength Broly's initial banner on global was a huge step up from the first banner format where the LRs were unfeatured. Now the new LR was actually featured on the banner, which made a pretty big difference. The rates were still bad, but way better than LR Gohan's initial banner. And LR Strength Broly was such a game changer for the World Tournament that this was borderline a must summon banner. The 2017 Golden Week banners were some of the best banners in this game's history. Not only were Super Gogeta and Strength Janemba phenomenal units, but Super Gogeta's banner marked the return of Strength percent for Goku, who was still a top 5 Dokkan Fest TUR in the game, and it also featured some phenomenal units like Tech Angel's percent Goku, In Trunks, Ins percent Blue Vegeta, or Physical Vegito Blue. As a matter of fact, the banner only featured Dokkan Fest characters. That alone was crazy at the time. And Strength Janemba's banner had Physical Final Form Cooler, was before that Dual Dokkan Fest, definitely a top 3 TUR in the game. Tech Merge Zamasu and Physical Goku Black, who were still decent units, plus Strength Cell and Strength Omega, who were now better than ever under Janemba's new leader skill. Like, those banners were just insane. So insane that they hit top grossing multiple times. First when the Dokkan events were teased, and then when the banners dropped. It was just crazy. The first Tanabata banner was actually pretty cracked. It didn't feature any new units, but was probably still the best banner the game had seen so far. It featured the Super Saiyan 4s and Tech Angel Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who were arguably some of the best Mono 120% leaders, Vegito Blue and Rose, who were still phenomenal units, and definitely the best leaders of their generation, AGL Super Vegito, who was still an insane unit, like that guy could tank any normal in the game, and Strength Gogeta, who I guess wasn't as great anymore, but still a decent damage leader, who was super effective against all types. Arguably one of the best mechanics to have on a monotype team. The banner was just phenomenal. The 200 million download celebration banners on JP were just absolutely insane. Not only were Gogeta and Omega absolutely cracked with their new category leader skills that were actually active on JP opposed to global, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's banner had all of the Fusion Dokkan Fest featured, meaning both Super Gogetas and Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. That alone made that banner insanely valuable, since in Super Gogeta was still seen by many players as the best TUR, and Physical Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks was still very good, definitely one of the strongest TURs of his time. And bro, even if you didn't pull the shiny new category leaders, their old counterparts were still decent, and definitely runnable on their Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's new fusion team, especially if you were a new player. Then Omega's banner, even though not as good hype-wise, still featured some pretty decent extreme class units, like Physical Final Form Cooler and Agel's percent Rose. And even though they were some of the weakest Mono 120% leaders, Agel's Super 17 and Int Kid Buu still gapped the rest of the game outside of the other 120% leaders and LRs. So yeah, those banners were good. Very good. Isn't it funny how the 2017 Golden Week banners were some of the best banners ever on JP, but once they came to global, they found a way to mess everything up and actually turn them into some of the worst premium banners ever. For some reason, they decided to put the best super class units on Janemba's banner and the best extreme class units on Gogeta's banner. So if you wanted both Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and Super Gogeta, well, too bad bro. You now had to summon on 2 different banners. And when you add the fact that the game was down for 12 hours straight, yeah, you can imagine the level of frustration those banners brought. Imagine not being able to log in for the whole day, and then once you do, that's what you see. Possibly one of the scummiest moves done by Dokkan in this game's history. At least, Inti Goku's Christmas banner on global was absolutely cracked. His banner was literally one of the greatest banners in Dokkan's history. Every multi gave you a bunch of tickets, a free Kai, and candy canes, which were absolutely insane at the time. Like every 5 tickets gave you a guaranteed SSR, which was absolutely insane, considering multi-summons back then didn't even have guaranteed SSRs, especially on one of the hypest banners in arguably the history of this game. Anti-AI Goku released so much earlier than expected, like he dropped on JP 2 months prior. Nobody was expecting him for at least 3 or 4 other months, so for him to drop early on such a good banner was just crazy. And the featured units on the banner were also so insane. They were all Dokkan Fest units, with Inspro Gogeta, Angel Rose, and Physical Vegito Blue. Just absolute insanity. Strength Rose's banner was actually pretty good on release. Rose himself was an SBR beast, and a phenomenal unit you could slap on any Extreme Class team. Then you had Physical Omega Shenron, who was still one of the best Extreme Class TORs, Physical Cooler, who was also still pretty good, Super 17, who was probably better at the time than when he first released, thanks to his damage reduction and how good he was in SBR, and Physical Goku Black was very decent on Rose's team. Like he did share 6 links with Strength Rose. And if that wasn't crazy enough, on JP, the banner actually had a mistake. The banner image featured a TUR of Super Sentry Broly instead of his SSR, so all players who summoned on the banner while Broly was displayed incorrectly got all the Dragon Stones they used refounded. This was just insane. The banner itself was already good, but getting a full refound on one of the best banners of the year on top of it, yeah, that definitely makes it one of the best banners in this game's history. Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta's banner, in retrospect, was actually pretty bad. I remember going crazy on this guy's initial banner on Global solely because of how valuable Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta's leader skill was, but looking at it now, yikes. It only featured 2 other Dokkan Fest TORs, and not the greatest either. Jiren was good, I guess very good in SBR with the right RNG, but bro was featured on almost every Universal Survival Saga banner moving forward, and Strength Ultimate Gohan was already starting to age. And sure, Dispo and Topo weren't bad, but they were regular banner units that were going to be featured on every banner moving forward. Maybe that didn't matter in the early days of the game, but it did now, since starting from a banner, every banner moving forward had guaranteed SSRs for multi-summon, at least on JP. On Global it happened with LR Tex Person Goku's initial banner, I think, around May 2018, but yeah. This banner really wasn't that great. The 2018 Tanabata banner has to be one of the biggest bait banners in this game's history. When you first looked at it, it actually looked pretty good. It had the 3rd year anniversary LRs, the new full powers percent for Goku, and all of those cool old Dokkan Fest TORs, but the more you looked at it, the more you realized how bad it actually was. On JP, they reduced the featured SSR rates, meaning if you pulled an SSR, you had a lower chance of it being a featured unit, and let me tell you, nobody was summoning on the banner for the unfeatured units. Then on Global, they managed to do something even worse. The banner had 20 featured units. Like, what are we even doing here? Sure, maybe if you were a newer player, it was probably better than the JP banner, since you were probably missing a lot of those old Dokkan Fest units. But if you were a veteran, bro, that banner was so bad, bro, so bad. I personally dropped something like 300 stones on the banner when it came to Global, and it was brutal. Like, I already told that story before, but I actually dreamed about pulling Int LR Super Vegito the night the banner dropped. And when I woke up, I obviously summoned and just got brutally shafted. I don't even think I even pulled a Dokkan Fest unit. Like, it was bad. The 250 million download celebration banners were phenomenal, especially on JP. Goku's banner on JP featured Angel's percent evolution of Vegeta, one of, if not the most valuable, category leader in the game, Tech Vegito Blue, who was, I'm pretty sure, still the hardest hidden TOR in the game, Anti-AI Goku and Tex percent Goku, who were still very good TORs. Then Frieza's banner had arguably the best extreme class unit of the time, Angel Turles, probably the 2nd most valuable extreme class unit in the game, Strength Rose, and Physical Cooler was still a phenomenal TOR. And the Golden Friezas, who were still valuable due to their utility in not only SBR but Super Sentry Goku's EZA. Like, those banners were just phenomenal, especially as a new player. You could straight up build full, very good extreme and super class teams just with the featured units on both banners, since Goku and Frieza were both super and extreme class leaders. Like, bro, That banner was a blessing for newer players. In Goku Black's banner was absolutely phenomenal. One of the best multi-Dokkan Fest banners we ever got. It featured Tech Full Powers percent for Goku, Strength Rose, in Super Sentry Bardock, and Tech Cell, who were all still extremely good units, and then in Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and in Sword of Hope Trunks, who were still decent and very useful against Tech Cell's Easy. An Easy that many players, including myself, got to beat thanks to this banner. And just so you know, the banner literally hit top grossing on JP. One of the very few regular Dokkan Fest banners to do so that year. That's just how good it was. The 2018 Double Rates banner has to be one of the greatest banners in Dokkan's history, at least relative to its time of release. This was the first ever Double Rates banner featuring an LR, and with how many LRs were unfeatured on the banner, you had close to a 20% chance of pulling an LR every multi. A 20% chance. Like, keep in mind that LRs were some of the best units in the game, with the best unit in the game, LR Goku and Frieza, literally being an LR unfeatured on that banner. So if that wasn't already enticing enough, you were given 2 Sentaroshi Kais every multi. Kais that could then be used to AC 10 or 20 one of the new LRs you pulled. So yeah, this banner was seen at the time as one of, if not the best banner in Dokkan history. Players were pulling LRs left and right. It was crazy. And they knew what they were doing because Broly and Gogeta were right around the corner. So this banner was literally this good just to bait players before the big Dragon Ball Super Broly banners. Talking about the Dragon Ball Super Broly banners, the more that I think about it, the more I think those banners were actually some of the worst Dual Dokkan Fest banners we ever got. At least for veterans. Like, bro, Broly's banner featured Int Paragus, who was only usable on like 2 teams. Generally don't think I ever used that guy because of his lack of categories. Text Percentage Broly and Strength Broly just like, what are we doing here? And Strength Janemba and Physical Omega Shenron had already been featured on so many banners. As for Gogeta's banner, Super Saiyan God Vegeta was just not it, and the other fusions had already been featured on so many banners the year prior. Honestly, if you were a newer player, those banners were actually pretty good, but I'd say if you were playing for at least a year, they could have been so much better, especially considering those were some of the hypest banners that year, or honestly just some of the hypest banners in the history of this game. By the way, while JP was having those very high banners, Global managed to drop one of the worst Dokkan Fest banners of all time. Tech Hits banner on Global was just such an L. Genuinely have no idea what they were even thinking there. The year prior we had Int Yayuku's banner, a crazy banner, and then the next year they just dropped a hit. Sure, a global first, which was hyped to some extent, but the banner was just so bad, bro. Like, generally just like just Strike Jiren and Inti Goku were not only starting to age, but they were featured on literally 10,000 different banners. And Age's first in Blue Kai and Goku was just straight up bad by that point. And the other banner units were nothing special either. It also didn't help that Hit's Celebration was so dry, like it was just brutal. The first Step Up banner might actually be the greatest banner in Dokkan's history. Like actually the best banner they ever dropped relative to its time. It was just so insane that it literally made so many players buy stones for the first time. It was the first ever banner where you were actually guaranteed to walk out with something good. The first step gave you a guaranteed Dokkan Fest character who could be easy-ed for only 20 stones. Then the second step was 40 stones and gave you a guaranteed super class 120% leader. The third step was also 40 stones and gave you a guaranteed extreme class 120% leader. The fourth step was 50 stones and gave you a guaranteed category leader. And the final step gave you a guaranteed summonable LR, one of the 10 OG LRs, who were all still very good. So in total, one rotation in the banner was 200 stones, and you could do 2 of them. So for 400 stones, you were guaranteed 2 LRs, 2 category leaders, 4 Neo Gods leaders, and 2 Dokkan Fest EZAs. But the crazy part is that all of the Dokkan Fests you could get at each step were on feature on the banner, and all of the LRs you could get in the last step were also on feature on the banner. So you could potentially get any of them at any step if you're lucky, which was just insane. This was for sure the best banner the game had seen so far. And thank god I was a global player, so I still had some stones left for that banner, since Tech Hits banner was just a hard skip. But I'll never forget how the Dokkan subreddit was flooded with people saying that this banner is what made them finally pull the plug and buy stones for the first time. It was genuinely just that good. The 2019 Golden League banners were phenomenal. Trunks' banner featured Agile Gogeta Blue, who was still like a top 5 TOR in the game, Physical Future Gohan, who was an absolute monster in the Legendary Goku event, Agel's Percent Evolution Vegeta, who still had a phenomenal leader skill, Tech Vegito Blue, who was somehow still one of the hardest hidden TORs in the game, and Physical Vegito Blue, and in Sword of Hope Trunks, who sure weren't all that anymore, but were probably going to get an easy A the following year, so some dupes couldn't hurt. Zamasu's banner featured Dragon Ball Super Broly, who still had one of, if not the best Extreme Class leader still in the game, in Goku Black, who just like Physical Future Gohan, was an absolute monster in the Legendary Goku event, Agile Turles and Strength Rose, who were still valuable units due to their support, and Tech Merge Zamasu and Agile Rose, who were probably getting an easy A the following year. So just like in Sword of Hope Trunks and Physical Vegito Blue, some dupes couldn't hurt. Obviously, as a Future Saga stand, those banners were just absolute cinema for me. Like, no matter what I pulled, I knew I was getting something I'd like. The 4th year anniversary banners were pretty cracked. They were the first banners with pity, which that alone made them so insanely valuable and worth summoning for. Vegeta's banner just had so many valuable featured units, like Tech Transforming Frieza, who was still very good, MVP 17 and Agile Turles, who were still some of the most valuable Dokkan Fest units in the game, thanks to their support and utility, and Agel's Percent Evolution Vegeta and Physical Transforming Vegeta, who are now more valuable than ever, since you could run both the new LR's Percent Force under their leader skills, plus LR Gogeta, who honestly I think aged better than the LR's Percent Force, and Agel's Percent for Vegeta, who actually got a second life thanks to LR Agel's Percent for Goku. Like, it was a very decent banner, and even crazier on global, as every multi gave you 3 tickets. Every 4 multis give you a free multi summon on top of the free multi every 3 multis. So you essentially got 2 free multis every 4 multi summons. Like, how crazy is that? The tickets were just so good on global. It was just insane. Because of that, both banners were probably some of the best anniversary banners we ever got. The 300 million download celebration banners on GP were actually so insane. Gohan's banner on GP featured Tech Transforming Trunks, who was still a Legendary Goku event monster and actually not bad in the Future Saga SBR stage. Agile Gogeta Blue, who was still an amazing TUR, Transforming Goku, who was untransformed, still a Legendary Goku event monster, MVP 17, who was like a top 5 most valuable TUR in the game, in Super Sentry Bardock, who was a must for the Super Sentry SBR stage, and Tech Vegito Blue and the Ultimate Gohans, who weren't all that anymore, but not that bad. Like, Vegito Blue could still cook in the Legendary Goku events, with some dupes in RNG. As for Cell's banner, on JP it featured Agile Transforming Zamasu, who was an SBR beast, Physical Dragon Ball Super Broly, who was just a joke by that point. Like, honestly, that guy just didn't think anything in SBR. In Transforming Goku Black, who was good in the Legendary Goku event, and not bad in the Future Saga SBR stage. Like, he could actually cook in the second fight against First Form Cell. Tech Transforming Frieza, who like Broly, couldn't tank anything in SBR. Strength Rose, who was definitely still decent in SBR, thanks to his debuff and his goaded partner, LR Tech Rose and Zamasu. Strength Cell, who just had his easy A, so he was pretty decent. Tech Cell, who was also not bad, and Physical Goku Black, who was not that great on GP, but pretty decent on global. Strength Full Power Frieza's banner has to be one of the worst Yellow Coin banners in this game's history. Mainly because at least with the other Yellow Coin banners, the new Yellow Coin LR was somewhat decent. But it wasn't the case with that guy. Bro was actually not that great. Especially if you already had the Dokkan Fest Physical Full Power Frieza with some dupes. That guy with his easy A was genuinely better than the LR at 55%. So there was just absolutely no point in summoning for that guy. The 5th year anniversary 55 special summon banner was insanely valuable at the time. For 200 stones, you had a 55 pull multi-summon with a guaranteed LR at the end. The banner had every Yellow Coin LR up to In God Goku unfeatured on it. So LR Tech Broly and the androids, all phenomenal LRs, and obviously LR Kel and Caulifla, who were, in my opinion, still the best unit in the game. And the featured units were not bad either. You had the most recent banner units and all of the Hero Exclamation Plan easy As. The banner was definitely one of the most valuable banners in this game's history and was well worth the 200 stones. The 5th year anniversary LR banners are still to this day the highest grossing banners in this game's history. And it's not surprising at all. The banners were just cracked. Vegito Blue's banner featured LR Agile Gohan, Gohan, who was still a top 10 unit in the game, transforming Zamasu and Trunks, who were both amazing in their own ways, Int LR Super Vegito, who was now better than ever on Vegito's team, Tech Merge Zamasu, who had just received a pretty decent Easy, Physical Super Vegito, who wasn't all that anymore, but was still the only proper Majin Buu Saga leader, so that could help, and Physical Vegito Blue, who also wasn't all that, but was speculated to get his Easy the following year. Gogeta's banner was also pretty damn good. It featured Int LR Cell, who even though was probably the worst Dokkan Fest LR, was still very strong, especially in SBR. Physical Transparent Broly, who honestly wasn't all that anymore, but was still useful for his leader skill. Like, there are so many easiest that this guy could help you with. All of the Gogetas, who were literally all better than ever on Blue Gogeta's team. Strength Omega Shenron, who had recently just gotten an Easy and was obviously very decent. And Int Janemba, who I think was still the best Easy TUR in the game. The guy was just monstrous. So those were literally some of the best banners ever. You literally just couldn't get shafted. Almost everything you pulled was going to be at the very least useful. And bro, just like the 40th anniversary banners on Global, those banners had tickets. So yeah, it was just crazy. The $350 million download celebration banners were pretty cracked. I'd say that on Global, Gohan's banner was probably better, as it had Strength Cooler instead of Tech Exchange Buu. Like, Exchange Buu was good, very good, but Cooler was just him, and I think had more value overall. Gohan's banner unit was also pretty decent, being a good support and lead partner for the Boos on his team. The 4th and 3rd year anniversary LRs were obviously also still very good. LR HL Gohan was still insane for long events, in Gohan's Easy Loki got a second life with the new LR Gohan, and the 2 Transforming Vegetas still had value due to their leader skills. Tech Vegeta was and still is the only unit in the game leading the Super Sensu category, and Physical Vegeta's leader skill was just cracked, bro. Like, Pure Saiyan in Super Class was just a nasty leader skill to have. As for Vegito's banner, it was probably better on GP, as it had in Transforming Gotenks instead of HL Bardock. I don't really think there are any arguments to be made here. LR's percent for Goku and LR in the Vegito were still phenomenal LRs. LR in Cell 2, he could still cook in SBR. HL's per Vegito was still an SBR beast, and the Transforming Gokus were also still decent. Honestly, those banners were just cracked. If you were a new player, you just couldn't get shafted. And even as a veteran, the units there weren't featured on many banners, so you probably didn't have them rainbowed or with multiple dupes, if at all. The 2020 Heroes banner has to be one of the best, if not the best, Dragon Ball Heroes banner in this game's history. Well, it's either between this one or the Limit Breakers percent for Vegito's banner, but the original percent for banner was pretty cracked. You were guaranteed a featured unit every multi, and the featured units were very good. The headliner, Physical percent for Vegito, was straight up a top 5 TOR in the game. Ins percent for Gohan was a phenomenal tank on a giant 8-power team. Strength percent for Bardock wasn't anything too crazy, but could do some decent damage, and it was freaking percent for Bardock, bro. Dex percent for Broly was actually cracked, next to percent for Vegito. The damage this guy could do next to Vegito was just insane for a TUR. Then Intoa was a pretty good support type unit, and could cook in SBR with her ceiling and attack debuff on Super. Super Mira was pretty good in long events, and Int Dark Mask King was genuinely cracked, with a Dragon Ball Heroes category ally on rotation. Bro was a phenomenal tank that also healed. The banner just had so much value, it was insane. I probably dropped close to 600 or 700 stones on it and didn't regret it one bit. I think the banner was even better on JP, as it gave you a raffle ticket every multi that you could then use to participate in different raffles for different Dragon Ball Heroes figurines, if I'm not mistaken. And if it's not that, it was something like it's still better than no tickets on Global. Whatever you could win. The 2020 thank you banners on Global were actually so bad. Thank God for the Global sync, because those banners were actually not that bad when they came to JP. Nothing insane, but definitely not bad. But by the time they came to Global, most of the featured units were not that great anymore, and they didn't even bother changing anything. Brother, I remember looking at Exchange Blue's banner and just wondering if they really thought someone would summon on that. Text per Century Broly even post Easy. Strike Boo! Physical Broly had been featured on the biggest banners since his initial release, so I'm pretty sure most players already had him with multiple dupes, if not rainbowed. Same thing with HL Transforming Zamasu and Tech Transforming Vegeta. This was just such an L for Global players. I still summon on Gotenks banner though, as I was a Gotenks stan at the time, for some reason. I still like Gotenks as a character, but I think I liked him more back then. This has to be the worst Anabata banner of all time. The Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku and Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta banner. The Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Saiyaman Goku and Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta banner was already bad when it dropped on JP, but by the time it came to global, it was just laughable, bro. Agel Krillin was one of the worst banner units we ever got. Generally one of the worst banner units of all time. Dokkan Fest Beerus and LR Gohan and Goten were definitely good and probably the best things you could pull from a banner, aside from the new headline in LR obviously. And look, the rest of the units weren't the worst if you didn't have them, but all of these characters had been featured on just so many banners in the last 2 years that most players that weren't new already had them with dupes. I still remember watching Truth Stream when the banner first came out on JP, and bro, he was just not having it.
Okay, let's see the banner. Okay, so Goku and Vegeta 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my god. 8, 9, 10. No. Nah. This is not a summon. Hell no. Dude, they had the nerve. Are you kidding me? UI Goku transforming Goku and transforming Vegeta. Hell no. This is not a must summon. Global players, do not worry. You do not have to worry about this banner. Hell no. I know Gohan and Goten are on there. Yeah, awesome. You're gonna pull transforming Goku and Vegeta, right? So I would not even be concerned about that.
I think the Christmas banner on Global that year was ironically better. It had not only the new LR but also LR Gohan and Goten, and the 50th anniversary Blue Fusions, plus a bunch of old Dokkan Fest units that actually hadn't been featured on that many banners and either had already easied or were going to easy the following year. And we were also finally able to coin the 50th anniversary Blue Fusions, which was a huge W for many players. Physical Transfer in Frieza's banner was actually cracked and one of the best monthly Dokkan Fest banners we ever got. It was actually even better on Global, as it featured Strength Kefla instead of Dokkan Fest Beerus, Strength Cooler, Strength Person Bukai Goku, and Strength Namekoku. All of those units were not only good, but they also weren't featured on that many banners. The two other Friezas, sure, were featured on many banners, but were still runnable. And brother, the new Transparent Frieza was just so good. Genuinely one of the best designed TURs in this game's history. And I'm pretty sure bro had barely been featured on any banner since his initial release. I literally only have him with one dupe, even to this day. In Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's banner was also pretty cracked on Global. It not only had a discounted rotation, which was insanely valuable, but it also featured some pretty crazy units like Tech Gohan, Physical Transfer in Piccolo, LR Gohan and Goten, and honestly even Tech Full Power Super Saiyan for Goku. If you were a newer player, Tech Super Saiyan for Gogeta and Physical Omega Shenron were still very useful for a Shadow Dragon Saga SVR stage. This was genuinely a good banner. The only bad thing you could pull from here was the new banner unit. Still no idea what they were thinking with that Nova Shenron. The Golden Week 2021 banners were actually pretty controversial from what I remember. I'm pretty sure this was the first ever shared Golden Week celebration across both versions, and Global hadn't been treated the best way that year so far. Them dropping the banners early, without the tickets we were usually getting when the banners dropped. At the end of the year, yeah. People were mad, but I still think those banners were pretty cracked if you were like a new player. They had both the 5th and 4th year anniversary LRs on them, the new Dokkan Fest units and barrier units were just cracked, Vegeta's banner had Physical Transfer in Frieza, one of the greatest Dokkan Fest TURs in this game's history, and Goku had what was possibly the best Asian Dokkan Fest TUR in this game's history, Tech Gohan. Those banners were no joke, but obviously, considering the time and depending on your box, these banners were probably not the best. I think I literally had everything except Frieza on Vegeta's banner and everything except Full Power Super Saiyan for Goku on Goku's banner. So yeah, not that great for veterans. And definitely not worth the removal of the tickets. The 2021 Worldwide Celebration banners were actually pretty insane, especially Full Power Frieza's banner. His banner unit was not only his best linked partner, but also completely cracked. GT Vegeta was back and still phenomenal. Transparent Frieza was still a beast, LR Vegeto and LR Cell were still SBR monsters, Strength Cooler was also still very good, and HL Cooler and Transparent Frieza were starting to age but still not that bad. And LR Gogeta was maybe better now than when he first released, thanks to the GT Legendary Goku event, where you could see his full potential. The 2021 Tanabata banner was absolutely cracked on Global. It had 3 rounds of discounted multis, so 9 discounted multis with 3 free ones, which was just so valuable in itself. Plus the featured units were also not bad. Obviously the new Gogeta was phenomenal and just got better with time. His banner unit Gotenks was an SBR monster with his AoE spray attack that could stun. Physical Gohan and Goten were actually still very good and very fun too. HL Paikuhan was actually better than ever on the new Gogeta's team, and Inspire Gogeta was actually still good post Izzy, and yeah, Tech Janeba wasn't the best, but dupes couldn't hurt, and the past year Tanabata LRs were still valuable. The banner wasn't the best ever, but in my opinion, the discounts were a must summon. You had to at least do the discounts. By the way, this is a very funny story, but I actually tried to record my first ever summon video back when that banner first dropped, and I actually pulled Gogeta, but guess what? I forgot to press record. I actually just lost it and gave up on YouTube for like a whole year after that. I'm pretty sure I still have the recording on my phone, just not the audio. The 2021 Double Race Christmas banners were actually cracked on both Global and JP, even though they were two completely different banners. They both were double rates and had two featured LRs, and I'm pretty sure I remember someone doing the math, and you had almost like a 30% chance of pulling an LR every multi, which was just crazy, bro. This was insane. Obviously the banner on JP featured my GOAT, Future Gohan, so you already know it was a must summon for me. HL Dokkan Fest Genius banner was actually one of the very few Dokkan Fest banners that was worth summoning on before the 7th year anniversary banners on Global. Not only did it have discounted multis, but the featured units were actually not bad. Ginyu and his banner units were phenomenal and were built for the new Red Zone events. The tech androids were genuinely one of the only units that actually survived the 7th year anniversary power creep because of how cracked they were. Sure, the other 3 units were complete fodder now, but Namegoku got his Easy that same year, and even though he didn't get the best Easy ever, he was at the very least usable. Trust me, by that time standards, that meant something, because most units were straight up just unrunnable in the red zone. Like, you just couldn't run them. The 7th year anniversary part 1 banners have to be some of the best banners in this game's history. Like, bro, the Blue Duos banner had full power Frieza, who even though wasn't all that great anymore in the red zone, was a GT Legendary Goku event killer. Same with LR Buhan. HL Goku generally just needed a 200% leader to be back into the meta. The Blue Fusions could low-key still cook in the red zone under the new 200% leader skills. You just had to float them. LR Physical Gogeta got an easy at the end of the anniversary and was generally great. He aged pretty fast, but was good at the time. Honestly, if you had him with dupes, the guy was generally still usable in the red zone before his Easy. And bro, the Super Saiyan Force banner was even better. Okay, Super Saiyan Blue Vision Vegeta was just an L, but Namegoku could still cook with dupes, and the GT Goku and Vegeta were actually not bad on the Super Saiyan Force team, especially Goku. The damage this guy could dish out was just nasty, bro. He was a glass cannon, but his damage was insane on his new 200% team. Strength Vegito could still cook in SBR and the GT Legendary Goku event, but definitely wasn't usable in the red zone. The Super Saiyan Force and Inspire Vegito got an easy at that anniversary and were all very good. Even the new banner unit was goated. Just a shame he didn't get a proper team in time. But yeah, those anniversary banners were very good. The 7th year anniversary part 2 Legendary Summon banner generally has to be one of the worst banners in this game's history. First off, they dropped Kaiken Goku and Saiyan Saga Vegeta as Yellow Coin LRs in the worst meta imaginable, with no proper teams and garbage leader skills. They even had part of their passives locked behind Goku and Vegeta restrictions when none of the red zone bosses had any Goku or Vegeta enemies. No idea what they were thinking there. They should have given them 200% leader skills. That alone would have made me summon for them. But now, as much as I like the Saiyan Saga, and honestly no one in their right mind could justify summoning on that banner. It was just an L all around. I think this was the final straw and the reason why they switched to the Carnival banner format the following year. They just saw the sales on those banners and they were just like, yeah, we have to do something. When all they could have done is just given them proper leader skills, bro. But Physical Raditz banner has to be one of the worst banners in this game's history. The fact that they had the nerve to drop this after the 7th year anniversary power creep was just crazy to me, bro. Raditz was just an absolute L. Nappa, even though ironically better, was still cooked because he needed Raditz 200% leader skill. Trunks died to normals in red zone, same with Piccolo and Kid Goku. Kid Gohan needed time to build up and didn't have a 200% leader skill yet, and Inspiration for Gogeta was heavily dupe reliant. You genuinely needed to have that guy with at least 2 dupes for him to be runnable in the red zone. And since Text percent for Gogeta had just recently gotten an Easy, this guy's value was just on the ground, bro. Like, honestly, if you had text percent for Gogeta, you didn't need that guy. This banner was just a joke. Not like banners that year were much better because of the 7th year anniversary power creep, but this was definitely the worst monthly Dokkan Fest banner that year. Like the In Goku and Vegeta banner. Genuinely no idea what they were thinking there. Straight up, everything on that banner was unusable at the time. The aircraft blues were essentially just stats, and with the Vegeta part of the card having a very questionable design, it was obvious they weren't going to age well. Then the androids I guess could cook on Cell's team. Transparent Frieza needed a team, Super Vegeta was just an L, Beerus was an L, and don't even get me started on Jiren. I don't know what they were even thinking there, bro. And the banner unit, Jaco. Crazy to think that this was the thank you banner on Global in 2022, bro. They just didn't care. The 2022 Tanabata banner was actually cracked on Global, for the same reasons as the previous Tanabata banner. The discounts were just insane, but this time around, Vegeta and Trunks were just too good to skip. These guys were literally the best unit in the game, had the best leader skill in the game, and completely dominated the red zone. Sure, the featured units weren't the greatest, but if you could get just one copy of Vegeta and Trunks by doing the discounts, this was already better than anything else you could have gotten from any banner that year. I was fortunate enough to pull 3 copies of Vegeta and Trunks doing the discounts on that banner, so yeah, it was worth every single stone. The burst mode banner, yo, I genuinely want to know what they were even thinking with this. Like, at least with the category banners, as bad as they were, they could help out newer players, fill out their category teams. But this was just straight garbage. It was meant to be a banner to help you out with a new burst mode. You weren't running any of these units, like none at all. Even outside of the burst mode, outside of Caulifla and Hercule, they were all useless. And they were better units anyways, units you could pull on any banner. Did someone actually summon on this? This has to be the first banner in this game's history with 0 summons. Like, genuinely, I think nobody on Earth summoned on that. Like, there's just no way, bro. The 2022 New Year's banners were actually such an L. Okay, maybe not Orange Piccolo's banner, as Orange Piccolo himself was so good that he carried the whole banner by himself, but Beastless Gohan's banner, bro. If we're strictly talking about Red Zone, I think the only 3 units who were just usable, like not even good, just usable on this guy's banner were him, AGL Cell, and LR Vegeta post Easy. Like, I guess LR Cell once he Easy'd the next month, but bro, Beastless Gohan himself was just an L of a unit. Probably the biggest fumble in this game's history, and that's the banner they gave him. Tech Super Trunks' banner has to be one of the worst multi-Dokkan Fest banners in this game's history. Like, brother, it was genuinely so bad. The new Dokkan Fest had a terrible design, at least in my opinion. The banner unit was just straight up dead on release. The Dokkan Fest Android GT Duos were never that great to begin with. In Dokkan Fest Majin Vegeta could, I guess, still cook on Vegeta and Trunks' team, but these guys were starting to age. Still probably the best thing you could pull from that banner, as the rest of the lineup was just essentially unrunnable. If you were on JP, this was the easiest skip of the century before the 2023 Worldwide Celebration. On Global, yeah, I don't think anyone dropped a stone on that banner. There's just genuinely no way. I don't know what they were thinking during the 2023 Worldwide Celebration, but Future Gohan got one of the worst Carnival banners ever, while Carnival Trunks' banner was just stacked. Look at that lineup. Strike Bulma, Carnival's person Goku, Merge Zamasu, and Int Rose, who actually easy that celebration, and was very good. You could even still cook with Gohan and Trunks if you had them rainbow. Future Gohan generally just had Super Buu, and even then, I'm pretty sure Bro didn't even have a proper team at the time. Strength Carnival Goku was just an L, LR Physical Middle Cooler was barely good on release, and by now was just an L. And the other guys just weren't that great anymore. I still summoned as a Future Saga stand. I summoned on all of the banners at Celebration, but still, this was crazy. The 2023 Tanabata, like the previous Tanabata banners on Global, had insane discounts. I just can't stress enough how crazy those discounts were. And this time around, the banner was stacked. The news person for Goku was a phenomenal unit. LR Vegeta and Trunks were still very good if you had them with dupes, especially after the Future Saga Worldwide Celebration. The Gammas were also still pretty good, and Tekpan too. As for the other units, yeah, they kind of aged out, but 2 of them easier the next year and just became cracked. So in the long run, that banner was definitely worth summoning on, and the discounts were, in my opinion, a must do. The 2023 Heroes banner was actually a pretty crazy banner. You were guaranteed a feature unit every multi, like every Dragon Ball Heroes banner. And sure, not every unit was good, but Limit Breaker's percent for Vegito was absolutely phenomenal and completely carried the team by himself. You just needed him with multiple couple dupes, and you were set. Bro was an absolute menace. He was practically invincible his first 6 turns on a full giant A power or crossover team, and the damage this guy could do was just ridiculous. There are so many turn and time based missions I was only able to clear thanks to this guy and his team. It was generally one of, if not the fastest team in the game. Honestly, Super Sentry Warzy was also pretty good. Like, transformed, the guy could generally hold his own defensively post super and the hardest defense of the time. At this Rainbow, Dark Janemba and Golden Middle Cooler were also pretty decent units. So the banner wasn't all bad, but the fact that it had Vegito and that you were guaranteed a featured unit every multi was, in my opinion, enough to make that banner a borderline must summon. I spent nearly 1,000 stones on that banner, rainbowed almost every featured unit, and didn't regret it one bit. The 2024 Saindi banner was genuinely one of the best Saindi banners we ever got. The new tech transformer in Vegeta was phenomenal, and Ints percent for Goku and Physicals percent God Goku were generally still decent units, at least with dupes. Sure, Physical transformer in Vegeta's Easy wasn't the best, but it was at least usable. And in Broly, Easy that year, if you had him with dupes, his Easy was, in my opinion, pretty decent. The new King Vegeta banner unit was also not bad. Like, honestly, that banner was pretty valuable. The special pose, special Easy banner was actually such a valuable banner. It had 3 discounted multi-summons where you were guaranteed a featured unit, and the banner featured in Gotenks' Easy, which was very good at the time. Super Sentry Gotenks' Super Easy, a very good Super Easy. HL Gotenks who actually Easy'd on JP and was pretty good, even by the time he Easy'd on Global. Same thing with Intopo. You almost just couldn't get shafted. And even if you did, you just wasted 90 stones, which wasn't the worst deal ever, as the banner gave you red coins instead of the usual blue coins from those types of banners. Tech UI Goku's banner on JP was just so good if you were a new player. Bro, you could literally get the 4 best representative of Universe 7 LRs on one single banner, and arguably the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th best units in the game all in one banner. It was genuinely crazy. I don't think a Tanabata banner has ever been that good on JP. This was just insane. The Universal Survival Saga Easy banner was also pretty cracked. The banner featured 7 units with 3 LRs who were very good post Easy. Honestly, the 17s were generally more than good. Those guys were cracked. And since you were guaranteed a featured unit for your first 3 discounted multis, the value on that banner was just insane, bro. Insane. The 9th year anniversary part 1 banners on Global were absolutely insane. And I think the best anniversary banners we ever got to this day. I guess they knew everyone on Global would just skip the part 1 banners for Beast Gohan, so they had to do something, and they chose to go all in. The part 1 banners had something we had never seen before: unlimited step-ups with discounted multis and a guaranteed featured unit multi every 7 multis. Like, bro, you literally just couldn't get shafted on those banners. At least on Broly's banner. Broly was the best extreme class unit in the game, and his banner unit absolutely cracked too on a Super Boss's team. Tech Merge Zamasu was still a phenomenal short event unit. LR Strength Cooler could still cook with dupes. The Universal Survival Saga Blue Duos were phenomenal post Easy. The Tech Gods were going to Easy next year, so dupes couldn't hurt. Same with the Z Duos who were going to Easy in 2 years, and the Blue Fusions were still phenomenal folders post Easy. Truthfully, the only L on that banner was Physical Broly, or if you already had like a unit rainbow, that was it. As for Gogeta's banner, look, Gogeta himself was very good. Strength UI Goku post Easy was pretty decent. Sword of Hope Trunks could still cook with dupes, and the Broly trio were phenomenal post Easy. So that banner still had value, especially with those discounts. It's actually sad that we are probably never going to get discounts like that ever again. Actually, Strength Beast Gohan's banner was also one of the best banners in this game's history. It featured the best unit in the game, the Beast himself, and probably the 2nd and 3rd best units in the game, the 6th year anniversary LR Easiest. Honestly, if you're a new player, you could just summon on that banner, get those 3 units, maybe drop a couple of multis on the other anniversary banners for some more superheroes characters, and you were good. You had enough to cook literally anything in the game. There wasn't a single event you couldn't beat with Beast Gohan's team. It was just that crack. The 10th year anniversary banners were absolutely phenomenal. Tech Vigil's banner had, well, the man himself, Tech Vegito, who was just absolutely cracked. The whole meta was essentially balanced around that guy, so you practically needed him to beat the content of the time. The Super Saiyan trio were still very good units, same with Broly. The Super Saiyan 4s Easy that anniversary and were just so insanely cracked. Like, you could generally make the argument that Physical Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta post Easy was just the best unit in the game. Then Namegoku, even though not as crazy, still got a decent enough EZA. Int percent Blue Evolution Vegeta was still crazy and arguably better than the Strength percent Blue Evolution Vegeta we got at Anniversary. The Z duos were going to EZA the next year, so dupes couldn't hurt, and Strength per Vegetal honestly was still a valid unit post EZA. The only L here were the blue duos, and even then, dupes couldn't hurt as they were going to EZA someday. The other Dokkan Fest banner was also pretty cracked. The new LR Gogeta was Vegito's best link partner, LR in Broly was still decent, Beast Gohan was, well, still a beast, and Tech Merge Zamasu was starting to age, but genuinely somehow still usable in some of the events they released at Anniversary. The GT duos were going to EZA next year, so dupes couldn't hurt. The Tech Gods were absolutely crazy post EZA, Tech Super Gogeta was still a phenomenal EZA, same with AGL MI Goku, and Full Power Frieza's EZA was good enough for the time. As for the Carnival banners, they weren't as crazy as the Dokkan Fest banners, but probably the best Carnival banners we ever got and maybe will ever get, as they both featured two new LRs who, despite all of the controversies, were still very good. Honestly, the 10th year anniversary was just insane. Such a goated celebration. The 2025 GDC banners were honestly pretty good. All of the 10th year anniversary LRs and the 7th year anniversary EZAs were back, and I don't think they were that crazy because of how nasty the GDC power creep was. Most units on their banners were borderline unusable in the events they dropped that celebration. Actually, the special EZA banner they dropped that celebration had more value for your stones, assuming you pulled the new units. 3 discounted multis where you were guaranteed an EZA character, with most of them being absolutely cracked, like Texan Shenron, the Super Saiyan Force, and Strike Omega Shenron. Honestly, even GT Pen was very good. Like, brother, you almost couldn't get shafted from those discounted multis. That banner was just insane. The manga banner was honestly pretty valuable in my opinion. You could rainbow all of the manga units under 300 stones, and that team could literally beat any hard event that released before the 10th year anniversary. So as a new player, this was just so valuable, especially since they dropped as T-Wars. You didn't have to grind any Dokkan event. You just pulled them, leveled them and their super attacks up, and you were good to go. I know a lot of players probably regret not summoning on that banner now that Dokkan Frontier is a thing, and Manga Frieza is just an absolute beast there. The 2025 Black Friday banners were actually cracked. You had all of the DGC LRs and anniversary units of that year on 2 banners. Brother, if you were a new player at the time, you literally could get some of the best teams in the game for free. Across both banners, you could put together the best GT Heroes team in the game. How insane was that? There was almost nothing you couldn't beat with that team. The value was just insane. Now look, I'm not saying this because I got brutally shafted, but in Future Gohan's banner was genuinely the worst Carnival banner in this game's history. What were they thinking there? The only good units on that banner were the 2 Future Gohans. Maybe the Int Androids? I literally dropped 1,000 stones on that banner, and since I already had Agel Future Gohan and Trunks Rainbowed, the best thing I got was a copy of Tex Percent Gotenks, whom I literally never used. It was brutal. Umatsu just had to give me the goat, and I would have glazed that banner like no tomorrow. But of course, I had to get shafted. The 11th year anniversary Daima Countdown banner wasn't that bad. I generally think this banner was better than the Part 1 anniversary banners. For 100 stones, you were guaranteed a featured character, and one of them was Goma, arguably the best unit in the game. 100 stones for a 20% chance of pulling the best unit in the game was genuinely a pretty good deal. The Minis percent for Goku was also very good, and got even better during the anniversary. Same with Minis percent Vegeta, who literally was a better unit next to the new Adult Daimas percent Vegeta than when he first released the year prior. Talking about Adult Daimas percent Vegeta, his banner was such an L. Brother, the only 2 good LRs featured on his banner were him and Strength Rose. Everything else was just an L by that point. Even the EZA Carnival's percent Goku wasn't anything crazy. I generally don't think I ever used that guy. When you take into consideration the fact that bro was the worst anniversary unit, he wasn't even like in the top 10 by the end of the anniversary, yeah, this banner was genuinely a hard skip. The Super Saiyan for Vegeta plus Goku banner, on the other hand, was actually pretty good, and probably the best banner that anniversary. The new LRs were for sure phenomenal and game changers for Festival of Battles. The new Legic banner unit was very good on Omega's team. Physical Omega was obviously still phenomenal. Agel Gogeta generally could still cook with dupes. The Strength GT Duo got a phenomenal EZA that anniversary, and the Era of Blue Boys got a usable EZA, only good for 6 turns, but good enough at the time considering the content we had. And Tech Pen was very good post EZA, same with Inbu Vegeta. Just 2 very good EZAs. Plus Broly and the Super Saiyan Trio were probably going to EZA next year, so dupes couldn't hurt. This was a very decent banner. The 2026 Saiyan Day banner was actually pretty solid. The new Majin Vegeta was phenomenal, actually a crazy unit. Physical Pui was insane with the right RNG. Int LR Gohan, Goten and Trunks could still put in work, as could Agel Dokkan Fest Kid Goku. Int Majin Majin Vegeta with his EZA was generally very good, Tech Buhan and Transformer Vegeta weren't usable anymore but weren't featured on many banners, so dupes couldn't hurt, considering they were probably going to EZA in a year or two, so honestly the banner was pretty valuable. Now, as of the time that I'm recording this video, the last notable banner to come out is the Metal Cooler Army banner, and let me tell you, that banner was so trash, bro. There's just no way this was a legal banner to release in the big 2026. Mini Super Structure Vegeta was alright during the anniversary, but his time was gone now. And you still need Adult Daima Super Structure Vegeta. Without him, that guy is just complete fodder. Angel Frieza Inbu is very probably never going to age. But you honestly just need one copy of that guy. And most people probably already had one. Strength Kid Gohan and Piccolo, the Int Androids, Physical Turles, Strength GT Androids? Like, what is that lineup, bro? There's just no way they thought this was good. This is proof from the future. This video took 10 million years to edit, so Turles literally had time to get an EZA, and even with his EZA, the banner doesn't really look any better. Like, that guy's EZA was just unfortunately not it. But at least the Metal Cooler Army is like generally one of the strongest T-Wars in this game's history, so that's something that gives the banner value. What were they even thinking? At least Metal Cooler Celebration was absolute cinema. Genuinely better than the Elementary Anniversary. I said it, bro, I said it. But yeah, this is it for today's video. Psych! Okay, now bro, this video was supposed to be out ages ago, but it just took so much time that the 2026 TDC banner is out. So let's talk about it. They somehow fumbled Beast Gohan. I honestly kind of knew this was going to happen the moment they gave him counters, as it's just impossible to balance a unit with a counter mechanic. They either become the best unit in the game or just aren't that great, and Beast Gohan is unfortunately just not that guy. This might generally be the first Tanabata banner in Dokkan's history where the new LR is not even the best unit on his own banner. Like, I don't think I'm crazy saying that Tech Dabura is better than him. And as for the other featured units, the new banner unit Piccolo has a very questionable design to say the least. But I guess he's not bad. Then Tech UI Goku, I think you can probably still cook with that guy with some RNG and dupes. Same with Vegeta and Trunks. They're also still Festival Battle monsters. The Super Saiyan Duo are probably going to EZA in part 2, so who knows? And Strength Final Form Cooler's EZA isn't out yet, but not gonna lie, it's not looking too good. So all around, this banner is probably a skip. I actually was lucky enough to pull Beast Gohan first multi. Bro, I swear, this only happens when I don't care about the new unit, bro. Like, I generally didn't care about Beast, and I just pulled him first multi. Like, you can make this up. But yeah, now this is actually it. Let me know what you guys thought. I probably missed a bunch of crazy good or bad banners. Well, honestly, for the bad banners, most banners in this game are trash. So I wasn't going to talk about like every single bad banner the game has had. This video would have generally been like 50 hours long or something. So I chose the ones that were notably bad for some reason. But yeah, I still probably missed a few banners. So I guess feel free to leave them in the comments down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.